Apparently, the Koch brothers aren't content with owning nearly every branch of government in the United States, so now they're devising a plan that would give them even more power and influence over American politics. Joining me now to talk about this plan is Howard Nations. So, Howard, we always talk about the Koch brothers, David and Charles, but at this point, it really is a little bit more than just the Koch brothers. They have created what they like to call a Koch network. Tell us about that.
Well, Farron, the Koch brothers' self-ordained role as the America's political puppet masters proceeds apace. As a matter of fact, it's growing almost exponentially. Koch brothers now have an organization that shows all the earmarks of a national party. They've put tens of millions of dollars into a data company that has detailed, state-of-the-art profiles on 250 million Americans. Think about that. They have in-house expertise in polling, message testing, fact-checking, advertising, media buying, dial-up groups, donor maintenance, all the things that you see in a political party. So at the same time that the mainstream Republicans, led by Mitch McConnell, are trying to reclaim the conservative movement from the outside groups, in which they took a big step in the 2014 election, the Kochs are amassing presidential campaign tools. They're duplicating and exceeding the Republican National Committee. The Kochs have mastery of education laws. They have years of experimentation. They've spent a lot of money on what they now call experimentation, where they learned how to do all this. They seem to have endless cash, and they are actually exceeding the Republican National Committee's data operation, and they're clearly the most important non-party in the United States.
So at this point, it almost feels like they are working to either take complete control over the Republican Party, or with all these tools they have in place, like this data mining, they could be creating their own, Koch brothers Libertarian Party. That's what it sounds like to me. Are you picking that up?
Yes, the affiliation that they've just obtained with the I-360, which is an organization that was formed by Michael Palmer, who was McCain's chief technical officer in his campaign, that organization merged first with a Koch nonprofit, and then the Koch affiliate, Freedom Partners, invested in I-360. So just to give you an idea who I-360 is, they spent $50 million in the last 4 years linking voter information with consumer data that's purchased from your credit bureaus and other vendors, plus social network data, plus voter affiliation data, campaign affiliation data, and advocacy groups. Now, on each specific voter, and they're working on 250 million of them, they have data of estimated income, voter frequency, the brand of automobile you drive, and your TV viewing habits. And the purpose of all that is to target their advertising precisely to you and whoever they're going for in your demographic.
It's one thing when we go online and we search something in Google, they make a little profile and they know exactly what to target their ads towards you.
Right.
But this is a little bit more in depth than that. This is, they're going out there and they're pulling all this data on human beings based on everything you do. Like you said, they know what kind of car you drive, and they've done this for 250 million Americans out there. So we're talking, probably about 80% of the population somewhere at the Koch brothers, headquarters, they have a file on you. I'm willing to bet to Mike Papantonio, who usually sits in this chair, I'm probably certain that they have a file on him.
It's a pretty thick file on Pap.
Yeah. But, I guess it kind of raises the bigger question is, these guys who are so involved in politics, so up for just throwing money at whatever they feel like doing, why are they doing this? They don't need more money. They don't need more power. What's in it for them at this point?
Well, there's several things in it for them at the moment because, first of all, I think I have to disagree in terms of their motivation for this because they have actually gone into it, first of all, I think because their father trained them, raised them as conservatives. Their father was a member of the John Birch Society. And as such, he raised them strongly as conservatives. So they have very strong conservative beliefs. And I disagree with Harry Reid, who says that they're un-American in what they're doing. They have the right to spend their money any way they want to, but their motivations are multiple. First of all, they obviously are and want to be and are very good at being power brokers. They want to protect their own business interests, and they have major financial purposes in this. The Kochs are the biggest polluters in the United States. They are major employers, and they're two of the top 5 wealthiest Americans. Now, as polluters, the people who control the pollution laws, the EPA and a lot of state pollution agencies, are headed up by the governors and influenced by senators and congresspeople. And so if you're going to be the biggest polluter in the United States, it's easier to buy politicians who will protect you than it is to actually clean up the mess that you're making. They're major employers, so they want to fight unions. And they've been very successful by finding very carefully chosen Republican governors to help them in their battle with labor unions. They also, as employers, they do not favor. They're very opposed to the minimum wage, for example. And they found a friend there in the Republican Party. And a lot of these people that they're supporting, you'll find they're also opposing a minimum wage. They're also two of the top 5 wealthiest people in America. And as such, they have a very strong interest in politicians who will control tax policy, who protect the upper 1% financially, and who are fighting tort reform, among other things, and who are protecting business across the board.
Well, you mentioned there too, something you and I had discussed a while back, is that Wisconsin has really become the kind of case study of what the Koch brothers are capable of doing, because I think everything that you just listed there are initiatives that they've taken on in Wisconsin. Right. Is that correct? That's
true, and they're doing it in several other states right now. And when you look at who they're trying to trying to support right now, who's garnering their support right now, they're looking ahead to the next presidential election. Obviously, they're being courted by Ted Cruz of Texas, by Rand Paul of Kentucky, by Chris Christie of New Jersey, and by Rick Perry of Texas. Their political organization has set up and established methods for courting veterans and for courting Hispanics and reaching out to Hispanics. And also, very wisely, they're doing the same thing that President Obama did so successfully. They're now reaching out to the millennials, trying to get to all those groups. So it's a very strong, well-reasoned, well-thought-out organization and network that they've put together. They have a huge advantage over the Republican National Committee in that they are not required to be neutral in Republican primaries. The RNC just has to take a neutral hand in Republican primaries. They don't. So they can handpick whoever they want in Republican primaries. So if an incumbent does not stay in line with what the Koch brothers want, they will find themselves with an opponent in the next election, in their next primary.
So the Koch brothers here, they're really looking at the long game. They want to pick a governor that they can keep in office for 8 years or even longer, and then send them on to be a senator or to run for president. I mean, they're not just like once and done. They're not just going to pick a congressman and say, hey, we like you this time. Let's get you some money. Let's get you elected. They really are essentially playing for keeps, I guess, is the best way to say it. I mean, they know what they're doing. They're picking people that they think have staying power, and their network here just continues to grow and grow. And unfortunately, we're out of time, but Howard, you and I, we will pick up with this topic again in the coming year. Thank you very much for telling us the story today.